Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Get to College Athletics podcast. I am Coach Wilson. Before we get started with episode one, I do just want to say thank you to all the athletes, the parents, the teachers, the coaches, the family members, the friends that have supported our athletes. It could have just been a simple like, a repost, or a positive word of encouragement. We're hoping to keep that going. And I've always said once we get to 10,000 followers on X, we will start a podcast. And now with the podcast, we believe that it's going to be a positive avenue that athletes can use to tell their journeys and their stories as well. And also too, we would like to have coaches and parents on in the future as well that could give advice to help someone going through the recruiting process. So once again, sit back, relax. Thank you. We have a good one today. We're going to start it off with a 2025 pitcher. She's committed to play at Oregon State University. Really good pitcher. I'll let her introduce herself at the top of the episode. Sit back, relax, and once again, thank you and have a good day.
Get to college athletics, got a story to tell. Coach Wilson on the mic, making dreams swell. From 7 miles in the D to athletes worldwide, talking journeys, struggles, hustle, and pride. Get to college athletics, yeah, we making it known. Every journey, every climb, they're never alone. Coach Wilson in the chair, straight from Detroit streets, bringing that 7-mile fire, no defeat. He's got athletes talking about the
Greetings and welcome in everybody to the Get to College Athletics podcast. This is our first one, as you know, and we are here with,
Amelia Streuber.
hey, Amelia, we really appreciate you coming on, especially being our first podcast, and we really wanted to have you on. We really love your social media and how you really give back to the community and the athletic, the softball community, and but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's start off a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Okay, you're from Tucson, Arizona. Okay,
hmm
okay. So how's I guess the weather is pretty good year round there. I will take it.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say we have about like 2, 3 months of like really bad heat, but honestly, from practices and all that, I'm pretty used to it. But right now, it's super nice compared to everywhere else because everywhere else is like snowing and super cold. But I think right
Right.
now we're like 60s, 70s.
Oh,
So that's
nice,
awesome. Yeah,
nice.
beautiful.
So before we get into the softball piece, did you play any other sports or are you just strictly softball?
I did when I was young, like when I was a kid, because I didn't know like exactly what I wanted to do. So I did, I think, swimming and tennis, and then I'm pretty sure that was it. But I'm pretty much a one trick pony. I kind of just throw a ball in circles, but
Right.
it
Okay.
worked out. So
So when did you decide to go full time, with softball and the training and the travels and all of that good stuff? When did you decide to say, "Hey, this is my sport. This is what I want to do."
right. So I'd say when I was doing swimming, I think in elementary school, my coach basically told me like, hey, you're gonna eventually have to pick one or the other, so pick whichever one you enjoy the most. And I am more of a land animal, I would say. I don't do too well in the water. So I was like, you know what? Like, we'll just stick with softball because I'm drinking too much chlorine water and we need to, kind of cut that out. So I started doing that and then I started really getting into it during COVID, actually. So in 8th grade because I had nothing else to do. So I would do
Wow.
that for like pretty much, I'd say 2 to 3 hours a day. And
Just
I think,
softball training? Softball training
yeah,
2, 3 hours? Okay.
yeah, pretty much. I'd go into the garage with my dad from like we'd stay up pretty late, so we'd go into my garage around like 9, get done at like 11, and then like watch a show and then go to bed, which probably wasn't great for sleep. But I mean, it was COVID, so I could wake up whenever I wanted, and then on the weekends we'd go down to the field and I'd take fly balls, ground balls, hit for a little bit. So I think that was really good and got me like invested in it a lot because there was nothing else to do as a kid.
Right.
So
And you just fell in love with it, and it's very unfortunate, because obviously COVID. we lost
Uh-huh.
some people to COVID, but it helped you find your passion. So that's a good thing from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say how much time would you say outside of your normal practices with your teams that you put into your craft and working on your game?
Oh geez, a lot. I think okay, so basically my dad was like, I think one day off is good. You know, some weeks we'd take 2 days off depending on if I had a tournament, but I pretty much go now after school. I go every day for about like an hour and a half and pitch after school, and then usually I have lifting or some sort of speed work combined with that every day. So, I take one day off from throwing, which is today. So on Mondays I take throwing off, and then the rest of it's pretty much fair game. So,
Now, do you have someone that's actually coaching you through this process, or is it just something that you picked up on, and you understand that you have to put in the work if you really want to be a top performing athlete?
so I would say I have a couple people that I go to for lifting. Shout out to Glenn Howell. He's amazing. He's really changed my life with speed work and explosive weightlifting, but I knew that that's something that I was going to have to do if I wanted to be prepared to play my freshman year in college. So I go to him, I think 3 times a week. And
Okay.
I just think he's amazing. You know, I think speed work has really, really helped me become more athletic and helped me explode off the mound when I'm throwing. So I think it's been great.
Okay. That's great. So let's talk about the recruiting process a little bit.
Hmm.
When did it heat up for you? When you started to get those letters and those calls when it was like, hey, I might be able to go to Division 1 here.
Well, actually, it didn't heat up for a while. I struggled. I started really going to camps like all the time, sophomore into junior year. Um, and that's kind of why I posted about camps because I felt like camps didn't work for me. I didn't get very like noticed at camps. Um, but once I started posting more on social media about what I was doing outside of it, my PRs, like my schedule and all that, and then I played with a team who had pretty good connections to college coaches, that's when I started seeing results and was getting more noticed and calls and visits and stuff like that. So it really wasn't until I'd say like fall of my junior year
Okay.
where I started getting noticed. But besides that, it was all just like tons of camps all the time before
Right.
that.
So when you started your camps, now did you miss out on a lot of things that a normal high school student would miss out on because of your camps,
I
travels, and
did.
training?
I did. I think this year is the first year I've been able to go to winter formal and just like school dances and like events and stuff like that. I didn't really get to go to football games at the beginning of school because I was out either doing tournaments or um, camps because I played for two club teams in the same org because they both needed a pitcher. So
Okay.
I'd be doing double the amount of tournaments, and then on top of that, whatever free weekend I had, I'd be going out to a camp. So that was a lot as a 16 year old to be doing. And I missed a lot of school too, which wasn't great, but it helped me a lot with my time management, which was great.
Okay.
Um, but I wouldn't recommend to anyone else. But I think it helped me in some ways and also hurt me in some ways just because it was hard. It was very stressful to keep up and keep all A's in my classes. So
Right. So, what would be your advice specifically to an athlete that that may have friends that are going to parties, that are going to school events, that are going to football games, and they're becoming, frustrated because they're not able to make those events? What would you say to that student athlete?
oh geez, I don't know. I think there's a balance for sure. I've learned now that as long as I incorporate practice or something related to get me better every day into my daily routine, and I have to do that first before I do anything else, that helps. Whether that's waking up early to go to the gym so you don't have to do it after school, to give yourself more time to do homework and then go out with friends. I think that could be important. But me specifically, I had to sacrifice that a lot because I wanted to play in college, and I knew that that's what I really wanted to do. I've always liked to be like striving towards a goal.
Right.
I think if you surround yourself with friends that have the same goals as you, I think that's great because you can kill two birds with one stone. Like my best friend Kelsey Rolls, she was the one who got me into lifting actually. She's a year younger than me, but she's like, we should start going to the gym. And I was like, yeah, okay, like sounds cool, you know. So we'd go every single day before school, I think my junior year, just because we were so busy after school. So I got to spend some time with her doing that. And she's a great catcher too, so she catches me all the time. So I think if you find friends within that sport, it makes it a lot easier. But you just have to really, you know, juggle and be good at time management if you want to do both.
Right. So do you have any siblings?
I do. I have two younger brothers.
Okay. Now, from their perspective, because you're older and
Mhm.
you always have to be at camps and things like that,
Mhm.
did they have to do a lot of sacrificing as well, being away from their friends because, well, we got to go to another Amelia road trip or we got to go to another camp? Did they have to do a lot of sacrificing too?
Well, I would say so, yes. But also, I feel like my parents were very good about trading off. So it's kind of funny. My mom and my dad would take turns taking me out to a camp or taking me to my tournament. So my brothers didn't have to go to my tournament unless they
Okay.
wanted to or a
Okay.
camp. So that was great for them. But they did have to make a ton of sacrifices. I think because you know, they wanted to support me, and it takes a village, you know,
No,
for someone like me to like be putting myself out there and all that. So they've been great and very supportive throughout the whole process. And I think it was just really important that my parents made sure that they weren't forced to do anything.
right. No, no, absolutely. Because I know sometimes when you have an athlete in a family, it just seems
Mhm.
like, like you said, everyone has to support and everyone kind of has to be on
Yeah, for
board,
sure.
so
Mhm.
I was just interested to see how that went in your household. So that's
Yeah.
good to hear. That's good to hear. So I do want to circle back to more specifically the recruiting process because, at Get to College Athletics, that's really, what we like to do and what we like
Mhm.
to talk about. So how many official visits did you take?
I took 3, but I was supposed to go on 5.
Okay. And what three did you go on?
So I went to BYU
Okay.
for my first one, and then I went to Grand Canyon University, GCU, for my
Hmm.
second one, and then my final one was Oregon State. And
Okay. And what were the
I
two
was
that you did not go on?
I was supposed to go to Fresno State right after I went to Oregon State, and I was also supposed to go to Weber
Okay.
State.
Okay.
So I
How?
kind of I kind of canceled the Weber one just because BYU is a Power Five school and was also located in Utah. So I was like, if I'm gonna go to school in Utah, I'll probably go to BYU. And
Right.
then the Fresno State one got canceled because I got stuck in a snowstorm when I went to Oregon State. And
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, yeah, I love the coaches at Fresno State and I was super excited to go there and just check it out. But then at the end of the day, like after I saw the campus at OSU, I was just like, no, like I don't need to waste their time. Like this is my place, I'm just going to commit here. Um, but I
Okay.
loved the coaches at Fresno and Weber. They were amazing as well. So,
Okay. Well, let's talk about Oregon State just a little bit more. I know you just
mhm,
said, you like the campus and things like that, but
mhm.
specifically, why Oregon State?
It's funny because, everyone is like, when you know, you know. And I always did not believe that. I was like, no, I'm going to go to wherever gives me the best offer, that makes the most sense for me, blah, 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 blah. Um, but once I stepped on campus in Corvallis, I was like, this is it. It was just absolutely beautiful. Everything was super close. From the dorms that I would be staying at, it's like a 1 minute walk to the field. The facilities are amazing. The coaches are amazing. I just really loved how down to earth everyone was, and it just seemed very homey, and it was kind of like a home away from home. So that's what I really wanted in a college when I knew I was going to be out of state.
Okay. Did you have a chance to, meet the team and, maybe go out to
Hmm.
dinner or go out with them and things like that?
I got to go to their practice and I got to meet a lot of them and they all seemed super nice. I went to a camp just to check it out when it wasn't, all snowy in September, and all the girls were great. And I talked to a lot of them, and they were super nice, and you know, they seemed super down to earth and fun to talk to. So I asked them what
Right.
they do in their free time and stuff, just questions like that, and it seemed perfect.
Right. So when you made this decision, did you look at the roster and see what they had coming in or see what they had going out, or did you just say, "Hey, this is where I want to be, and I don't even care about the other stuff"?
I just said this is where I want to be, and I don't care about the other stuff. Um, just because I loved it so much, you know. Um, and I would totally live there. If I didn't live in Arizona, I think I would live in Oregon.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, but I didn't want to go to California because my family's from California, and I already know. I just wanted to go somewhere completely different and new. Um, and Oregon is definitely different compared to the dry heat in Tucson. So
Okay. No, that sounds great. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. So I would say, when you're going through the recruiting process and you said, "Hey, Oregon State, this is where I want to be," how did you handle the other offers? Did you call the coaches? How did that work out by letting the other schools know that you were not going to attend?
I did. So I called them all. Which I was super nervous about because I was just like, I really did like everyone, it's not like anything against them. It was just Oregon State is where I felt like I belong. Um, Coach Hayes at GCU was, probably one of my favorite coaches that I had met. And I think he's a great guy and I loved him a lot. So when I called him, I felt nervous about it just because I was like, I wish I didn't have to say no to him,
Right,
but he was super sweet and understanding about it. And he said, I'll have to tell, Oregon State that they got a good one. So I thought that that was super, um, nice of him. And it made me feel a lot better about calling all the other places.
right. And I
Um,
think I think that's great that you did that. That you
yeah.
you know you didn't send a text, but you actually called and said, "Hey, thank you for the offer and thank you,
Hmm.
for the opportunity to play there." But I think I'm going to Oregon State. So I think that's
Yeah.
great the way that you handled it. Now,
Thanks.
when you look at recruiting now with the transfer portal, do you think it's
Mm.
easier right now for a student athlete to pick a school now because they can say, well, you know what? If it's the wrong fit, I can just get up and leave the following year. Do you think it's a little
Hmm.
bit easier for that decision now?
I think for some people, for sure. For me, I really wanted to go to a school where I didn't feel like I had to pick up my whole life and transfer it. I just wanted a place that I could stay for 4 years, and that's also why I picked Oregon State because I was like, I can't see myself transferring from here. I do think though that the transfer portal makes it harder for incoming freshmen to get recruited just because colleges can be like, oh, well, if, this doesn't work out, we can just grab from the portal. You
Right,
know, a lot of
right,
colleges only depend on the portal. So, I feel like it's a lot harder, especially if you're not a pitcher or a catcher to get recruited, now. But, I think, yeah, I think for some people it probably makes their choice a little bit easier because they're like, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, then I can just, move. But it doesn't work out for everyone. Sometimes you don't get picked up when you're in the transfer portal. So it's
right,
kind of a gamble, which is scary to me. Like, I wouldn't want to take that risk.
right. So I appreciate you, coming on and, speaking about your recruiting process. But I do
Hmm.
want to end it with this is because this is why you're one of my favorite athletes is because you got your scholarship and, you can run off in the sunset, and
Uh huh.
deactivate everything and give no advice, nothing at all. And you
Right.
seem to not only give advice, but make it a point. So before we
Hmm.
jump into that a little bit, I just want to say, do you want to coach when you're done playing?
People have asked me that, and it's so funny because I always say no. Um, just because I'm like, oh, I feel like once I'm done, that'll be enough softball for me and I'll be retired basically. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not like completely opposed to it, but it just depends on how college goes, I guess.
Okay, I understand. So now let's talk about that a little bit. Why do you feel that it's important? Because I wish more athletes, did it.
Mhm.
But I understand,
Mhm.
it's not for everybody. A lot of times,
Mhm.
you get your scholarship and you're happy and then you just want to work on your game, work on your studies and
Right.
I want to make it very clear there's nothing wrong with that. But
Mhm.
why do you feel it's important to do that?
I just think, especially for me, I wish I had someone like that just because I, my family went into the recruiting process pretty blind. Um, so there was a lot of money that we spent that I felt like we didn't really have to in the end. So I think especially for families who don't have, as much money as we do, because I'm very fortunate that my dad has a great job, and he works really hard. But I just think it's important to basically, you don't have to do what I did and you can get to the same place, you know?
Right,
Like I just don't want other people to have to go through all the stress and all the missing class and all the missing school events that I did. I don't regret it necessarily, but I don't feel like other people necessarily need to do it the exact way that I did. So I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible because I know it would have been nice for me to be able to, go to football games or go to school events or kind of be more of a kid. But I don't regret it now at all. I think it's definitely made me a super hard worker and very down to earth and focused. So, I
right.
just think it was important for other people to know the truth.
And when you say that, are you talking about the camps? Is that what you're talking about as far as your time that you wish you could have gone to football games and other events?
Yeah, for the most part, there was a lot of events that I went to as well. And I think the main problem too was that I was playing on two club teams. So on top of all the tournaments and camps and events I was going to, I had double the amount of tournaments. So I was just like, it was very stressful for me. Um, and again, I just feel like it's really important if you don't have to miss class. I think that's really good for people because missing class is hard. I had to teach myself basically all of honors chemistry last year um, in like a week because I had a final and I had no idea what was going on in the class besides,
Wow.
I just kept up with my homework, but it's hard to really know what's going on in class if you're not there for the lectures. So, um,
Right, right. I agree. I agree. So you give a lot of advice, obviously, on
mhm,
your ex, but I
mhm,
I just want to give you a chance in closing here. You got
mhm.
anything that would you want to share with any of the athletes? Just some advice or anything just from you before we close it out.
Oh, geez. I would just say focus on your craft and focus on yourself until you're recruitable. And then once you're recruitable, then you have to be able to know someone with connections to colleges. Cause I think that's really what helped me was the connections piece and me finally meeting the threshold of how hard I was pitching, how much I was hitting my spots and like, um, all of that. So I think basically, to summarize it all, work on yourself until you're recruitable and then go to a team that can give you the best opportunities to get to where you want to go.
And there it is, everyone. Episode 1. We hope everyone enjoyed episode 1. Please be on the lookout for future episodes. Couple notes here. This episode was brought to you by Flatline Digital. They do a really great job of graphic design, logos, posters. Their information will be in the show notes as well. And also, if you want to be a part of this podcast, please do not hesitate or be shy. Send us an email at gettocollegeathleticspodcast@gmail.com. That information will be in the show notes as well. Once again, thank you for all the support. Thank you for listening. We really hope you enjoy this episode and future episodes as well. Have a great week.
Get to college athletics, got a story to tell. Coach Wilson on the mic, making dreams swell. From 7 miles in the D to athletes worldwide, talking journey, struggles, hustle, and pride. Get to college athletics, yeah, you ain't making it never alone. Coach Wilson in the chair, straight from Detroit streets, bringing that 7